This will be the 56th time the Bucks have played the Packers in regular season play, and it currently stands 32-22 in favour of Green Bay with one tie. And of course, the two teams were part of the old NFC Central Division until realignment in 2002. Now, the one tie, it came in 1980 and remains the only one in franchise history. It was 14-all at the end of regulation after Green Bay's kicker Tom Burney missed a 24-yard field goal, and he then missed a 36-yarder as time expired in overtime. Richard Batman Wood had a memorable play for the Buccaneers with this interception return, and Doug Williams added a touchdown in the fourth quarter to tie the scores.
1st and 10 for the Green Bay Packers. Ball is at their own 48-yard line. Dickey, short drop, sets and throws. Intercepted! Richard Wood has the ball. Richard Wood! And he's on his way for a Tampa Bay touchdown on the interception by Richard Wood.
In December 1983, Monday Night Football came to Tampa Stadium as the Bucks took on the Packers. Unfortunately, it was a real clunker for ABC Network because it was the 2-12 Bucks against the 7-7 Packers, and even the legendary trio of Frank Gifford, Howard Cosell and Dandy Don Meredith couldn't do anything to try and hype this one up, but it was still in the days when Monday Night Football meant something, and it was a really special atmosphere that night. Now, the injury-plagued Bucks took the lead when Jack, throwing Samoan Thompson, hit Adger Armstrong to give them a 9-6 lead late in the fourth quarter. But kicker Bill Capiz hit the post with the extra point, and the Packers were able to tie it on a Jan Stenerud field goal. He added another one in overtime and sent the Bucks to another defeat on their way to a 2-14 season record.
For Tampa Bay, they bring in Adger Armstrong. Got the two tight ends in. Rolled out by Thompson. Touchdown. And it's wide open. It is Armstrong. Touchdown Tampa Bay, and they take the lead. First time tonight, Tampa Bay has had the lead.
First time in a long time Tampa Bay's had the lead.
Capiz is kaput was Coach John McKay's legendary quote after the game, and the diminutive Floridian kicker never played for the Buccaneers again. And it was also the final ever appearance of Howard Cosell in the Monday night booth, because his contract was not renewed after the 1983 season, ending a long career as one of the most famous faces in the presentation of the NFL on American television. And then we come to the legendary Snow Bowl, December the 1st, 1985, a game that even made the news here in the UK because of the appalling conditions it was played in. It was a snowstorm, and the Bucks were in white, almost in camouflage. There were over 45,000 no-shows at Lambeau Field. People simply couldn't travel to Lambeau for the game. And I've heard so many great stories from the likes of Scott Brantley and Kevin House that we'll be featuring this as a future podcast on BuckPower.com. The 1989 season opener was in Lambeau Field, and the Bucks won 23-21. Nothing too memorable about that, apart from the fact the Packers wore white jerseys, not green. And this is the only time they've ever done that in their history for a home game. And it was based on Vinny Testaverde's apparent colour blindness that had broken the story the previous season. It didn't work too well for them as Vinny went 22-27 for 205 yards and threw this touchdown pass to running back William Howard. Now, that was Vinny's second best ever game for completion percentage as a Buccaneer, and his best one came in 1992, also against the Packers, a game that became known as Vincredible. He went 22 of 25, 363 yards passing and 2 touchdowns, and he was only one drop pass away from an NFL completion record. Ricky Reynolds opened the scoring on a fumble return, and then the Buccaneer offense took over.
And get it going properly. Last week was a good start. Mikowski drops deep, lays it over for Sidney. Fell, and now is knocked down at the 17. And lost it. And a touchdown. Ricky Reynolds.
Watch the blitz.
Testaverde, touchdown. Mark Carrier, the man who did not have a reception last week.
Now, this game also featured the first live action for a young quarterback from southern Mississippi, Brett Favre. He replaced Don Majkowski in the third quarter, and he actually completed his first NFL pass to himself. It was a deflected ball. He caught it for a loss of 7. And of course, he would go on to complete a lot of other passes against the Buccaneers and the rest of the NFL over the next 20 years. The Bucs and the Packers would meet 3 times in the 1997 season. The Pewter Pirates, of course, began the year 5-0, and it was a loss to Green Bay in a nationally televised game that ended that tremendous start to the season. The Packers would also win the return game in Tampa later that year, but they would meet in the postseason on a freezing cold day. I hate using the phrase frozen tundra. A freezing cold day in Green Bay. The Packers won 21-7, but the Bucs had 3 early scoring opportunities which they wasted. But it was the start of the famous sack versus Favre rivalry, as Warren had 3 sacks that day. The change to the new division alignment in 2002 meant an end to the twice-a-year meetings between the Bucs and the Packers, but they did meet that season in November. Both teams were 8-2 and leading the NFC. It was a game I ended up calling for British TV, and our post-game coverage was interrupted when the images came through of Warren Sapp squaring up to Packers coach Mike Sherman after an alleged dirty hit he had on Chad Clifton. There was no love lost between those two. The Bucs won and, of course, went on to win the Super Bowl at the end of the year. November the 8th, 2009 was Throwback Day in Tampa. Everyone was in orange. The Packers were the opponents, and it was Josh Freeman's first start in the NFL as the Bucs had returned from their loss in London, had a bye week, and they put the rookie in charge, and he won his first start. It was a memorable day, and one I was privileged to watch from the pirate ship.
Freeman outside of Derek Ward, diving for the pylon, he's in, touchdown! First touchdown pass in the NFL career of Josh Freeman.
To driver like glue.
First punt of the game for Jeremy Campbell. He blocked it, and it's picked up. And heading in is Rondé Barber. Touchdown! Freeman, pump fake, throwing deep. Touchdown, Sammy Slaughter! Rodgers, nobody coming open, and that pass tipped and intercepted. Being brought back by Kennard Jackson, heading for the end zone, touchdown!
We featured that game in a BuckPower.com podcast last year when Roy Cummings joined me to tell the story of Leroy Selman's induction into the Ring of Honor. 2020. Who can forget the playoff game in Lambeau Field when Coach Bruce Arians went into his full no risk it, no biscuit mode just before half-time. There was a chance for a long field goal. Arians said no, and he called for Brady to throw a long pass to Scotty Miller. The game turned on that one play, and it was ranked as number 5 in our BuckPower.com countdown earlier this year. It led to the Bucs making the Super Bowl and winning one for a second time.
It would be a 57-yard try from this spot if they pick up no more yardage. Brady goes for the deep shot. He's got a touchdown! Scotty Miller! Oh, my gosh! Scotty Miller got behind the defense and for 39 yards gets the touchdown, and what a half by Tom Brady.
You can read more on all these games and all the other Bucs-Packers matchups on BuckPower.com. Every player, every game, everything Bucs.